Joining us now from House Foreign Affairs is Congressman Greg Steube. Now, Congressman, we covered the Capitol riots live the night that it was happening. You were on camera with us that night. Can you tell us your thoughts about this day? You know, the Wall Street Journal editorial page is saying that, Trump incited the rioters to march on the Capitol, failed to act to stop as he watched on television from the White House. Your thoughts on today?
Well, today, a year later, the Capitol is no more secure today than it was a year ago. Speaker Pelosi has refused to give us and the American people all of the footage from the Capitol that day. It's still held in secret. Nobody's had access to it. She's refused to give her communications with Capitol Police and other law enforcement leaders that day, both the days leading up to January 6th and on January 6th as to what was going on. So our question, Republicans' question to her is, why are you failing to release all of this information to not only Republicans and the investigative committee, but to the American people? Obviously, there's something being hidden here. Look, I think anybody that broke federal law should be held liable and criminally liable for the laws that they broke. However, they should be treated the same way as other actors, progressive leftist actors we've seen attack federal courthouse over the summer, attack the Department of Interior. The Department of Justice should treat all these crimes the same, and unfortunately, that's not what's happening today.
We hear you loud and clear, Congressman. Those are important points you made. We need to move on to this. China's state-run media, the Global Times, is mocking and making fun of social media, including Twitter's ban of Georgia Congressman Marjorie Taylor Greene for tweeting out unconfirmed, unverified information about vaccine fatalities from the government's VAERS system. China, though, is saying, quote, freedom of speech is an illusion in America. What are your thoughts on this story?
Well, it's rich coming from a country that has over 1 million Muslims in concentration camps. So certainly take that for what it's worth from a government that has a communist party and has people in concentration camps. But that's the direction that we're going in this country. And that's why my bill on Section 230 reform would strip away the liability protections that these companies, these social media companies have if they violate your First Amendment rights. Right now we have these
Yeah, can finish your thoughts. Sorry, go finish your thought.
We have these social media companies who can't get sued by anybody and have free reign as to what they want to allow to be placed on their platforms and not allowed to be placed on their platforms. So if we strip that liability protection away, and if your First Amendment rights were violated, you had a cause of action against those companies, I think you would see that behavior change very quickly.
I'm so sorry. Forgive me. I didn't mean to interrupt. You didn't mean to say that the U.S. is heading toward a concentration camp type situation, right?
No. The U.S. is heading towards losing our First Amendment rights because of these social media companies who are determining for themselves what we can and cannot place on their platforms.
Okay. The Global Times editorial is pretty disturbing, right? I mean, we're seeing this coming into the studios that you're right, this is the most oppressive regime on the planet. And for them to be talking about Twitter, talking about censorship by Twitter, it's all about authoritarian rule over, messy democracy. They just want, social media to stop pretending that they are morally superior for their authoritarianism. It's almost like when we see what's happening in Silicon Valley, one critic called it their own Politburo. That's what's going on over there in Silicon Valley. Your final word.
Well, it's a sad place in America today, in the land of freedom and the First Amendment, where you have a former president who's banned from Twitter. They're banning individual members of Congress simply because they don't agree with what they're saying on these sites. We need to reform Section 230 and hold these companies responsible for violating our First Amendment rights.
Yeah, the cure for free speech, if you have problematic free speech, is more speech, right? Debate it, and point out what's wrong. Okay, Congressman Greg Steube, it's great to have you back on. Come back again soon. Up next, Fox News contributor DeRoy Murdoch. More rules for thee, but not for me. Another member of that club, Democrat Congressman Eric Swalwell, caught maskless going without a mask in Miami after slamming the Republicans' handling of the pandemic. Keep it here on The Evening Edit.